We are Dennis and Min. Come join us on our traveling adventures around the world. Hey everybody, welcome to the Higher Power Travel Channel, and the title of this segment is called Where to Retire in Portugal. Of course, that's a very subjective question, but we are going to speak, Min and I, from our perspectives and show you some of the places that we've been to Portugal. And before we get into that, please like and subscribe to our channel so we can keep you tuned in to what other videos we have planned for you in the coming weeks and months. So with that, we're just gonna explain a little bit of a background. Min and I had been looking several years back at places that we could retire to in the near future, international destinations, foreign countries where our money could go further. As you know, we're from Hawaii, and it's one of the most, if not the most expensive state in the entire country to live in. So we're kind of tired of that. We love Hawaii, but we feel we can get a lot more bang for our buck in other places. So among other countries, we went to Portugal in the fall of 2022. It was a scouting trip, not a vacation. So we really didn't indulge in any touristy things to do. There's a lot of that, of course. We weren't looking for beach time or any of that. We were simply there to scout out the country. So over 5 weeks' time, we actually stayed in, I think, 4 areas of the country where we would do these day trips from that central location. So we averaged about 6 days in each place. And some of these locations, we were just there maybe for a couple of hours, driving in and out, fairly small towns. Other places, maybe we were there most of the day. And other places, we actually went back the following day if we really liked it. So what I'll probably be doing here is listing below here on the screen the towns and cities that we visited with some of our pictures and video that we took when we were there, so you can get a feel for what we discovered in these places. And these are places that I had researched pretty heavily, of where there's a lot of expat interest. That people had really talked good things about. And so it's not an exhaustive list by any means, but feel free to share in the comments below what your thoughts are on some of these places that we're going to mention that we've been to, and maybe other places that we haven't been to yet in Portugal where you live or are considering perhaps. All right, so the scouting trip Min and I took to Portugal in the fall of 2022, we scoured about 33 or so towns, villages, cities from the bottom of Portugal all the way to Porto and everything in between. And we spent about 5 weeks on this scouting trip. So we stayed in, I think, about three Airbnbs, and for about a 6-week time frame. And then in the southern part, we stayed in the Hilton at a timeshare that we have that was in the Algarve. So we're gonna start there with Viamora, where we first stayed in the Algarve in Portugal in the fall of 2022. Now, it's a very touristy area there, very high end, and so for that reason, a lot of things are going to be more expensive than other parts of the Algarve, other parts of the country for that matter. So wasn't really a place that we would want to retire, but certainly a great place to visit. And so from that base, we visited the following towns and cities. First was Albufeira. Albufeira is a coastal town, and it is known for being a little bit of a party town. So if you like live music and dancing and that kind of party scene and a lot of good restaurants, that may be your spot. If you're looking for something very quiet and mellow, maybe not. And again, the reason I chose these areas for us to go to in the first place was because of a lot of research I had done online, various Facebook groups, and getting people's impressions of these areas that they had visited, as well as people that have been living there as well. And so from Albufeira, Min and I, we went to Lule, and forgive me if I mispronounce the names of some of these towns. We also went to Faro, which is where the biggest airport is in the Algarve region in the south of Portugal. And nearby there is Lagos. So that area also where there's Olhau is really known for these wonderful cliffs and rock formations that are jutting up out of the ocean and going into the ocean, and a lot of water sports there. Wonderful to kayak. The water's pretty warm in the summertime especially, and it's just been a long held popular spot for people to travel to from all over the world, but certainly from Europe. So we also went from there to Silves, quite quaint little town, and we also from there went to Olhau and also Tavira. And Tavira was a nice town. A lot of expats live in Tavira. They've got just about everything you could need right there. It is about, I think, either a 15 or 20 mile or 15, 20-minute drive to the Spanish border. So you are pretty tucked away in that southeastern section of Portugal, very close to Spain. And about 5 minutes from Tavira on the coast are these beautiful little towns called Santa Lucia and Cabanas. Very similar in size. I think Santa Lucia has maybe a population of 2,000 or 3,000. That was one of our favorite places in the Algarve, just because of its small town atmosphere, but it had some wonderful restaurants there, and they're known for their octopus. If you like octopus, they cook it there. Oh, probably one of the best places I've ever had octopus. Was in Santa Lucia. But it's on this protected bay, and then they have a stretch of sand beach that goes out this isthmus onto this barrier island. Now you can actually walk out to this barrier island. They also have a little train. If you don't feel like walking, you can pay, I don't know, 1 or 2 euros to catch the train for a short trip all the way to the barrier beach out there, where they have a restaurant and some snacks and drinks. It's like a bar. So very nice, relaxing place. People can spend the entire day out there. It's very, very lovely out there at Santa Lucia. And again, Cabanas kind of has that similar feel. Again, we talked about going to Lagos. Beautiful hiking and trails all along the coast there. Very scenic and very picturesque. From there, we also went to Sagres, and on the which is on the western side of the Algarve, so towards the southwestern corner of Portugal, with Sagres, and we went to Praia de Luz, which was one of Min's favorite places. It's kind of elevated on this mountains or overlooking the ocean. It does, because of its location, and it's kind of in that corner of Portugal, there does seem to be a lot of wind. It was fairly windy when we were there, and talking to people, it seems like that's a pretty constant thing. So just note that they do have their share of wind in Praia de Luz, but they have a beautiful beach there. And then we also from there went to Alvor. And then our next stay was in Lisbon. We were there for maybe 5 nights or so, 6 nights. And Lisbon is Lisbon. I mean, it's just a fantastic city. It's beautiful. Of course, they've got a great international airport there. And transportation is, public transportation is good all over. They've got a metro. They do have their share of traffic. Lisbon is one of the most congested cities for traffic in all of Europe. And of course, it has the original old town that they had built up after the earthquake in the late 1700s, before cars. So a lot of those small, narrow streets and everything, and then the rest of the city kind of built up around that. But wonderful architecture everywhere, museums. There's just incredible history all throughout Portugal, but Lisbon is certainly no exception. Much too big of a city for us to want to live in, but where we ended up deciding to purchase is only an hour and a half away, so it's not too distant to catch all those things if we want to go see a Taylor Swift concert or Ed Sheeran. Some people that recently played in Lisbon, it's not too far to travel for that. So a wonderful city of Lisbon, just not for us. We did enjoy the nearby coastal towns around Lisbon, which is Setúbal, and another one is pronounced Cascais, I believe. It's kind of the Beverly Hills of Lisbon. It's on the north side of the city of Lisbon. It's got a great beach there. It just has some great charm, but also very pricey homes, very expensive real estate there. Also not too far, just outside of Lisbon on the north, is a town called Sintra, which is famously known for a couple of its castles, which go back many centuries. And it's elevated up kind of up in the mountains, so you've got beautiful vistas, views in every direction. And from there, we went to Peniche, which is a very hot surfing spot. They have a big tournament there every year. And likewise, because it's a peninsula, actually, they have their share of wind there also. So between the city of Lisbon and Porto in the north, that area is known as the Silver Coast region of Portugal. And so there's a lot of quaint, smaller towns and cities in between in that Silver Coast region. And so we had heard of a place called Caldas de Reina. So that was our base for the Silver Coast. From Caldas de Reina, let me first mention with Caldas de Reina, they have just about everything that you could need there if you're living there, retired there. They've got wonderful shops and museums and restaurants, and if you needed some home improvements or furnishings, they have all that there in Caldas de Reina. And quaint town, a little bit too big for our purposes. Nearby Caldas de Reina, we went to Foz de Araujo. And we actually have some friends that we've met since that live there and really love that area. And it's actually on a river that empties into the Atlantic Ocean. So you kind of got water on a couple of sides there, if you will. And a nice little boardwalk with some restaurants and bars, but not too busy of a place. A lot of history there as well. And nearby Foz de Araujo is São Martinho, also San Martin. And that is a wonderful scallop-shaped bay that has just a beautiful quality about it. It's very picturesque there. And the Atlantic Ocean is almost cut off except for this little area between these cliffs where the water comes in to this bay, and it's a perfect shell-shaped beach, very calm, so it's great if you have small children. There's very little wave action there, unlike other areas of the coast of Portugal. This is an area that is really kid-friendly and a very popular tourist area as well. We also visited Ericeira. I really liked Ericeira as well. It was reminiscent of some of these smaller beach towns that I grew up in or near in Southern California, like Redondo Beach, Huntington Beach, Hermosa. Just had kind of that local small town surf vibe to it. And then we also went to Nazare. And it just so happened they were having their first big swell of the season. If you didn't know, Nazare is one of the areas of the world where they get some of the biggest surf. And in fact, it's tow-in surfing. The world record for wave riding is from Nazare. And so they've got a lot more going for it than just big surf, though. It's actually a very traditional fishing village, one of the oldest fishing villages in the country. And the women and the men actually still wear their traditional attire that goes back many, many years. So they're very proud of that culture. And it's a beautiful display when they have parades and festivals where you get to see them in this attire and dancing and singing They do those kinds of things all throughout the country, but we've been witness to that firsthand in Nazare. And Nazare is also a little bit of a favorite for us because we were able to find a wonderful condo to purchase there. And keep in mind, I didn't mention this before, but all along these towns and cities that we were visiting, we were connecting with realtors that were able to show us, where possible, homes and apartments, condos to possibly purchase, just so we could see what our money would buy for real estate in Portugal. So we were gathering a lot of that information along the way. And that combination of falling in love with Nazare and finding this incredible condo, which we really enjoyed, made Nazare a great fit for us. From Nazare, we also went to nearby Fatima, which is a small little town. You might have heard of Fatima. It is known for having the Virgin Mother Mary appear to 3 shepherd children back in 1917, and is one of the largest Catholic pilgrimage sites in the world. So people still go there by the millions, and they have a wonderful sanctuary there and masses all day, every day. And you can also go to where the children's homes still are and were, just as they were decorated back in the early 1900s when they were living there. From Fatima, we also went to Tomar, which is a little bit further east from Fatima. Keep in mind, Fatima is a little bit more in the central part of the country. And Tomar has some great history. They've got beautiful church and monastery there with some connections with the Knights Templar. From Tomar, we went to the northern part of Portugal, to Porto. Now, Porto is the northernmost city of Portugal, and that was our base for about 6 days. And we were in the downtown area of Porto, and Porto is just a beautiful, beautiful city. I will share what I know in that it's a little bit on the cooler side because it's further north than the other parts of Portugal. So they get cooler weather, and they do get more rain and precipitation in the winter months. But as is in many areas, of course, then it's very green, much more than other southern parts of Portugal in the winter season. We loved Porto. Again, it was a bit too big of a city for our liking, but a wonderful place to go visit, and wonderful shops and restaurants, and just a great place to walk around along the riverfront there. And of course, Porto is also the entrance to the Douro River Valley. So they have wonderful cruises that you can take and wine tasting. It's very much known for their port wines. And yeah, so if you love your wines, you got to get some from that Douro Valley, which is what they're known for. From there, we also did these day trips. We went to Aveiro. We loved Aveiro. It was a very special place. It is known as the Venice of Portugal. They have these canals that run through this relatively small town. You can, pay a certain amount and get on these little boats, like these little, they're boats. And you can go up and down these canals. And again, just wonderful, quaint little Portuguese town there in Aveiro. And we also went to Figueroa de Foz, and also we went to Amares, wonderful little town, and nearby Braga. Braga was great. There's several churches, cathedrals that they are known for. And I have to say, in Braga, I forget the name. If I remember it, I'll post it here on the screen. But there is a crucifixion scene in this church that is life-size. And I've never seen it depicted quite like this. But usually you'll see a crucifix scene with Jesus on the cross, and you'll have maybe at the foot of the cross his mother Mary and St. John the Apostle. This actually has a full display. It just puts you right there. These are all life-size statues in the sanctuary. You've got the Roman soldiers there. You've got the good thief and the bad thief on either side of Jesus that are being crucified as well. Pretty much anybody and everybody that was probably there is reenacted in these statues, and it's just a very, very moving scene. Something I've never seen before. But a beautiful area to walk around, beautiful grounds, and yeah, Braga is just so picturesque. They have flowers decorating along the roadsides and in the roundabouts. So in conclusion, after seeing, we might have missed a couple of places in there, but 33, 35, 36 towns and villages all throughout the country of Portugal in the fall of 2022. The place that we fell in love with, even though we loved everywhere we went, the place we fell in love with the most was Nazare. Not just for its big surf, but it's a beautiful, charming little town that we just connected with, and the fact that we had a realtor show us this amazing property that we just felt had to become our new home in Portugal. That combination really got us hooked for that area, and it's an incredible village. There's, I think, over 100 restaurants in this town of 10,000 people. It's just amazing. So we just love Nazare. We will probably be doing one or more separate videos just on Nazare itself and our experience there. But no regrets. It's been about a year and a half since we purchased that condo, and we realize that our tastes and likes are not going to be the same as everybody. So you may not like Nazare as a place to consider retiring to. I would definitely recommend to visit there as a tourist, if nothing more. But there's so many expats that have found their newfound home in paradise in these different areas of Portugal for so many different reasons. And unlike us, I would recommend that you live there for a period of time to really assess if it's a place that you could feel at home, certainly before purchasing a place. We did not do that, but at the same time, we have no regrets at all. So again, we'll get into that in more detail in a later video about our buying process over there. So that concludes where to retire in Portugal, for us anyways, and I hope these areas that we went to are helpful for you to consider your future scouting trip, or areas where you might consider to at least travel to on vacation, if not considering a place to retire to. Remember, as I mentioned before, there is no perfect place. There's always going to be something you wish was a little bit different. I will share that when we went to Portugal, from when we began in the south in the Algarve, all the way through to the Lisbon and the Silver Coast and Porto, every place we visited, the expectation was not only met, but was exceeded, because the first initial towns were like, wow, everything is so clean here. People are so friendly. It's so beautiful. It's so picturesque. And guess what? We kept thinking that the next place is not going to be quite like that. It was. Okay, the place after that, not so much. It was. There was just this consistency of how nicely laid out these towns were, how clean they were. My goodness, I mean, you could just have a meal off of the street most of the time. They are so clean. Their bathrooms in a gas station are cleaner than most 5-star hotels that I've been in. Not that there's been a lot, but they are just big into cleanliness. And so, but that and everything else, the fact that so many people spoke English, more than I was expecting, it just all exceeded our expectation. And that was from every village and city, various sizes throughout the country of Portugal, where there was that consistency and high standards across the board. So another reason why we fell in love with the country of Portugal. So stay tuned, please like and subscribe, and we will catch you up on other exciting videos coming up soon. Thanks so much.